Little Archie, issue 112, A Sure Cure. Hilda tells Sabrina to run for the hills because Zelda's mixing up her potions again. And the last time, she blew the roof off their house. I don't know how she's bad at it after centuries of experience. So Zelda just wants to see what happens and convinces herself that the consequence won't be too bad. Sabrina makes it dark by saying that she never did find the guy who was putting shingles on the roof at the time. They could have just warped them to them. And they could just warp a new roof to the house, so they wouldn't need to find it. Zelda's happy because she mixed everything together without an explosion. The potion with the cork in it makes popping sounds. At least it's interesting that potions are being treated like chemicals. And Hilda says she's getting out of the house rather than just warping the potion away into non-existence. Hilda trips over something because she didn't just warp out of the house for no reason, and says she's got a headache, and Zelda's impossibly stupid by pouring the potion in her mouth. Hilda breathes fire and flies up in the air and says she doesn't have a headache. So Zelda's just happy that she made an instant headache cure, even though people would obviously find it too scary. This story is about Zelda instead of Sabrina being the impossibly stupid one, mixing potions while assuming that it'll be fine, even though that got rid of her roof one time. And after Hilda decides to walk away instead of warping away for no reason and trips, she somehow makes the mistake of thinking the potion's guaranteed to be a headache cure that's worth drinking. So Hilda breathes fire and has to jump in a tub she summoned. It's refreshing to see someone other than Sabrina be the idiot of the family. And it's not that confusing because this Zelda looks nothing like the 90s sitcom Zelda. Two things happened because of the potion. Little Archie issue 113, Halloween Fun. Grundy puts Sabrina in charge of planning this year's Halloween party, and Reggie says it'll be easy for Sabrina if she does everything by magic. It's refreshing that this time she doesn't get nervous or even react to him making it obvious that he knows she's a witch. She tells Hilda later on that Grundy wants some new ideas, and she says she doesn't want to play tricks. Zelda says that she's the reason Sabrina grew up nice, and Hilda offers to plan the party. Zelda says she'll brew up a special Halloween punch, and Hilda summons hollow pumpkins. On Halloween morning, Sabrina's aunts greet her class from the third floor window, and Hilda apologizes for being late, and Zelda admits that they had trouble balancing everything on their broom. Wouldn't they just use levitation instead of even trying? Sabrina gets scared of Reggie telling the kids that she's a witch, even though she didn't react to the second panel of the story. He would know it's a waste of time by now. Hilda uses magic to summon a handkerchief to muffle Reggie, which isn't questioned for some reason. And Zelda says that every pumpkin has a different maze in it for the kids to do. And it breaks the fourth wall, confusing me when Zelda says that she got the letters from Little Archie's mailboard, and somehow none of the mortals question it. I guess in universe she means that Archie sent her all the mazes, or she went to another universe where there's a Little Archie comic. The story ends with Reggie trapped in a maze because he got the puzzle Archie made up, and Archie's happy, but I'm just confused. Only a witch could make this possible, but Archie's not freaked out. This story is about Sabrina's aunts throwing a Halloween party for Sabrina's class after Grundy put Sabrina in charge of it. And they hand out mazes for them to do, which they're fortunately happy about. The mazes in Little Archie are so small that they don't take up too much of your time like a big maze, frustrating you as you constantly pick the wrong way to enter the maze. So they're kind of fun. It is boring when you get mazes that require you to spend too long going straight ahead in one direction though. Those are the lazy mazes. Little Archie issue 114, The Big Feast. Sabrina's family has a big Thanksgiving shopping list because Zelda likes to eat. Why doesn't Zelda magically summon all of the food? I guess because she'd have to focus on its taste every time for every individual item, so witches are willing to pay for not having to do that. They put the stuff they bought from the store in a broom, and Sabrina wonders if people staring at them know that they're witches when they're flying on the broom, so of course they do. Zelda magically unpacks the groceries. Somehow Zelda doesn't know that everyone has a turkey for Thanksgiving, after centuries of being alive. Zelda summons a living turkey and gets told she has to cook it golden brown, so we see her using a sun lamp to tan the turkey, instead of simply pointing like I'd expect. Hilda tells her family they're going to visit the relatives, and out of nowhere, it turns out that they're related to Merlin the Head Witch, because the main characters have to be special. And yet he didn't show any hesitation when he tried to take away Zelda's powers. I'd like to at least know how he's related to them, but instead the story ends with him only eating a can of tuna. This story was about Zelda somehow not knowing that people have turkey on Thanksgiving, and shoots a sun lamp on a living turkey for some reason. There's not much to say. It's just a confusing idiot joke, so good thing there was so much magic to see. And it's cool that they're related to the head witch, but if it's never referenced again, and it's not explained exactly how they're related to him, then there's no point referencing it. It might as well be non-canon after this. It's also less believable because, while it is possible, what are the chances that they'd be related to him? Little Archie issue 115, Santa's Helper. Someone menacing climbs into a window in Sabrina's house at night, and Sabrina hears a noise and thinks it might be Santa. And it turns out Sabrina sleeps in the same room as her aunts in a separate bed. You'd think she'd have gotten her own room by now. Especially since they're witches who can summon things. A burglar unrealistically talks while sneaking around a house with people in it, which is just begging for someone to hear him and go after him. He sees pictures of bats, haunted houses, and Hilda flying on a broom. Why would they have a picture that would make it obvious Hilda's a witch when they want to hide that they're witches? And how is he supposed to look at that photo and think it's a haunted house? Sabrina's naive enough to assume he's Santa because he's in her house, even though he doesn't look like him. So why would he make himself look different? She probably assumes that nobody could be evil enough to be a burglar. Realizing that there's nothing so evil that nobody would do it is a part of growing up. Stupidly, the burglar says he's not Santa and doesn't have a red suit and beard. For no reason, Sabrina uses magic in front of him to make him dress like Santa anyways. She'd look smart if it was clear that she did this to scare a burglar away. Instead, she says she loves being Santa's helper. And somehow he's got the presence of mind to say he wants to know where the money and silverware is. Salem sees him try to put a bag over Sabrina, instead of continuing to take advantage of this magical helper who's willing to help him out. And so magic happens to teleport the guy to the police station tied up, and the police conveniently recognize him as a fugitive instead of thinking he's just an innocent guy. Which would be a little more likely. And he wonders how he got here instead of assuming it's the fault of the girl who magically dressed him like Santa. And Salem's thoughts are like human speech, but why does he think of himself as Santa's helper when Santa wasn't there? This story is about Sabrina mistaking a burglar for Santa, which takes advantage of her being just a kid, and somehow her magic doesn't scare him away. He somehow thinks trying to put a bag over an omnipotent witch is gonna go well for him, and ends up teleported to the police station by Salem. I guess Salem's magical in this universe. Little Archie, issue 116, The Magic Lamp. We see a genie say that he doesn't like being cooped up in a bottle and has nothing to do but wait. Can't he zap up books? He says it all started with Aladdin. Why does he say he wants to know twice? Then we see the genie serve a king overcooked beef, in his opinion, which got him mad enough to turn on the genie that could have given him whatever he wanted. It is weird that one of them is Aladdin, as if it's the Aladdin, when he's supposed to be a fictional character. Then we see the genie talk to Ben Franklin, who tells him to disappear right now, and the genie treats that like his wish, even though he didn't say the words, "I wish." So that's not fair. Then it turns out his mother's in the house, and accuses him of smoking in the house. So she throws the genie lamp out of the house for sending smoke out. Would she have really cared that he smoked in the house back then? I thought even in the 50s they thought smoking was okay. The genie lamp's been inside of a hollow tree ever since. Sabrina slides into it and finds it. The smoke from the lamp attracts Sabrina's friends. Sabrina doesn't want anything from the genie, and thankfully she's nice enough to wish for burgers for Jughead. Jughead wants 2 big bags of fries, and for no reason, somehow Archie got a bigger bag, which causes Jughead to fight Archie, and he wants to waste the 3rd wish on some more fries. But it's safer for them to waste the wishes on food than to do anything that'll backfire on someone. Sabrina casts a spell to tie up and muffle her friends rather than simply brainwashing them into not fighting anymore. And then she wastes her last wish telling the genie to disappear back into the lamp and jump into the lake. when she could have just teleported him there. Thankfully, it turns out that the genie does have something to do in this lamp, because it's got a lot of books. This story is about Sabrina finding a genie lamp in a hollow tree by sliding into it. I like that the writer put in the effort of showing us all of the other people that the genies had to deal with throughout history, even if it had plot holes. Good thing Sabrina says she doesn't want anything from the genie, so she doesn't miss out when Jughead pressures her into wishing for food. Archie and Jughead wouldn't have started fighting and gotten Sabrina sick of the genie though, because there's no reason the genie would have given one of them a bigger bag of fries. Little Archie, issue 117, The Music Master. Jughead gets told by his music teacher that his music sucks. I thought Mr. Flute Snoot was his music teacher instead. Jughead assumes that Clunkers is a song somehow. It's clear from how mad the teacher is that it's supposed to be obscure slang for badly, but he's never heard of the word before. Then the teacher unrealistically says that he thinks he's going nuts, overreacting, and he wants to quit. Jughead says he wishes he played the drums, which just reminds me that in early Archie's TV Laugh-Out issue, it is established that he's on the drums in the Archies. So that's what he should be playing, but he didn't know to try it yet. Jughead doesn't feel like going to play basketball and wants to just sit there for a while in shame. Finally, Sabrina's relevant. Sabrina feels sorry for him and casts a spell to make Jughead play better. It also summons an audience of mice for him, and he just casually decides to play music for them and go out in the fields to do it. Weatherby is happy to find out that the mice have disappeared, and for no reason, Jughead's back to playing badly the next day. But then Reggie says Jughead's playing for a dance contest to win a pound of cheese, and the story ends with them playing well. So why wasn't he trying to play well at music class? Why would he make all those people in music class miserable? That doesn't make sense. This story is about Jughead playing badly on the clarinet because he didn't think to try the drums yet. And Sabrina uses magic to make him play well and summon an audience of mice. And for no reason he leads the mice out in the fields. Maybe he just wanted to get the mice out of the school. And for no reason he's back to playing badly in music class the next day. Even though he's good at it for cheese. It was interesting that Jughead was the character who was a loser at something and not Archie. So he was being used as something other than just a character who's fixated on food until the end. Which is supposed to be seen as a joke, even though most people like the food he's obsessed with. Little Archie, issue 118, Springtime. Sabrina sees a bird singing because it's almost spring, and in some panels that seem like a waste of time, Sabrina states the obvious that spring means she can do more sports activities. And for no reason, Zelda says outdoor barbecues is her favorite sport. She's told that spring also means cleaning the house, and hearing that makes her tired enough to fall asleep. Hilda tells Sabrina to fly the magic carpet out to the backyard and beat it. Sabrina creates a wheel to steer it as she flies on it. Why is it still hard to steer even with the carpet just because Zelda's on it? You'd think a witch would point to immediately get rid of all the dust on a carpet, instead of beating a carpet and getting worried that the dust is going to go right in their lungs. Zelda wakes up and sees a bug on the carpet, and suddenly tells Sabrina that it's unlucky to hurt the first bug you see in the spring. For no reason, the bug talks to her, making her mad enough to hit the bug herself. Why did the talking bug think he wouldn't get killed if he made fun of a human? Did he want that? I guess the bug's a transformed witch who broke the rules, so he wanted to be put out of his misery. And she was referring to a previous witch like that when she talked about the last bug that talked to her. This story was about the thought of spring cleaning making Zelda decide to nap on a carpet. And after Hilda tells Sabrina to clean the carpet for her, Zelda stops her because there's a bug on it and there's suddenly a superstition about that. It makes sense that someone who grew up a witch would be out of touch with reality enough to think superstitions are real too. But at the same time, if they can find out about magical stuff and whether it's real or not, they could also easily find out whether a superstition is just a dumb mortal thing or real. So it could make just as much sense that they wouldn't believe in superstitions. And then the bug confused me by talking, so she beat it. This felt like a boring, pointless story I got nothing out of. I'd expect Hilda to be the lazy one. I remember wanting to nap on the couch all the time in the 70s comic. And she was lazy enough to tell Sabrina to clean the carpet for her, but no one's there to point that out. The carpet flew, but they still wanted to clean the carpet the normal way.